I'm here at my most favorite place in the world to be, Gateway Produce in Woodland, Washington. I've got my Fly Lady shopping bag, and I'm here to get just one thing today. Kale. Doo-doo, doo-doo, doo-doo. I did that. It's from the theme from Jaws, and I've always been afraid of kale, but not anymore. I know it's corny, I'm dressed like Caesar, but I have to do this because my recipe is called Kale Caesar. Kale to me is like parsley on steroids, or maybe spinach that's had a permanent. And you know, every time I've seen it in the grocery store, I think it would be like eating a sock. You feel like a cow, and it tastes like grass. And so I've always been scared of it. So I bought some and put it in the refrigerator for about 4 days because I was scared to do anything with it. And then I came up with this recipe. You will love it. The reason I call this recipe Kale Caesar is because I take the classic Caesar salad recipe dressing, like they would make at a fancy restaurant by your table and do it all. I'll make that dressing, and then we're going to put it on the kale, but there's a little twist to it. And my crown is falling off. First of all, you whisk up, I'm using a whole egg. In a classic Caesar salad, you just use a coddled egg, and you only use the yolk. But I'm using a full egg. I'm going to beat that up. Then I'm going to add, this is pressed garlic from about 4 garlic cloves. I'm going to put that in. And then I'm going to put about a tablespoon of Grey Poupon. There. The juice of 1 lemon, I've already squeezed the lemon, so the juice of 1 lemon is about maybe a tablespoon, 2 tablespoons if it's a really juicy lemon. Worcestershire sauce, about a tablespoon. Whisk that up. A little red wine vinegar. I love to hear the chefs argue about don't put red vinegar in, do put it in. And this is my kitchen. I do it. And then I'm going to add about a 1/4 cup of olive oil. And then some coarse kosher salt, about a 1/4 teaspoon, and pepper to taste. Now remember, we've got a raw egg in here, so can't eat it this way. I'm going to set that aside and get out my kale, my scary kale. So this looks like I'm going to head out to feed the cows. But you know, I keep reading about kale, and it's like a superfood. It's one we should eat tons of. So I chopped it up so it's like just like that size. And then what you do is add a 1/4 cup of almond flour. Put that on. And a 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese. And then you're going to toss that. So the almond flour and the Parmesan cheese kind of sticks to the kale. And then I'm going to add the dressing. The whole thing. This is enough. This dish will serve 4. And it would have served 4 Caesar salad plates too. I'm not going to get my hands eggy, so I use these. You toss it all up till it's all coated. Now you get to eat a Caesar salad with that egg in there because it's been coddled. That means it's been in boiled water had been brought to a boil, and you leave it in there for 5 minutes, and that's enough to start that egg white cooking, and it does cook your egg yolk. So that's all mixed in. You could do this ahead of time and leave this and let let it soak up everything. I've done it both ways. It's just, if you leave it a while before you cook it, it's wonderful. I'm going to put about 2 tablespoons of olive oil in my pan, and I'm going to get it hot. So you're going to turn it on high, or medium high. Don't put it on medium high. I've got gas. Well, no, I don't have gas. My stove is gas, and so I don't want it on high. I'll torch everything. So you're going to get that pan really hot before we put the kale in. So I've got this olive oil nice and hot, and I'm going to put the kale that's in the Caesar salad dressing in the pan. I could have had a bigger frying pan, but this is the biggest one I have, and I'm on a low budget here for this show. Actually, it's not a low budget, it's a no budget. But if you had a little bit bigger pan, a wok would work too. And you just start cooking this. Wait till you see the color it turns. You know how broccoli turns a brighter green as it cooks? So does this. Oh, also, as I cook this, I will be adding, this is just chicken broth, homemade chicken broth. Probably up to 1/2 cup as it cooks. And since there are just 2 of us, and this is enough for 4, this is one of those foods that is better the next day. And you could use it in, like if you made omelets, you could mix it in with your omelet. You could add it into a sandwich. It's wonderful. It's wonderful cold, but it heats up, reheats good too. You cook this about 3 minutes, stirring it and getting it. You want to get that egg all cooked in, and it does. And it doesn't show. It doesn't look like scrambled egg on you. Since you can eat kale raw, but you can't eat eggs raw, it takes about a minute to get that egg cooked. So you really could serve it almost al dente after a minute. I like to cook it until it's a little tender, and it's not so much like eating a sock. I mean, it really isn't like eating a sock like it was when you eat it raw. Let's see. I wish you could taste this with me right now. It is so good. You would run straight to the kale barn and get as much kale as you could. You'd be having kale every night, and it is so good for you. You don't need to wear one of these when you cook it. Kale Caesar!